Magandang araw mga kapuso. Ako po si Howie Severino, journalist ng GMA News and Public Affairs at isang COVID survivor. May bago tayong proyekto, isang online talk show tungkol sa issues at current events. Welcome to the inaugural episode of Quarantined with Howie Severino. And our inaugural guest is none other than one of the youngest mayors in the country, a man of the moment, a man in the hot seat, and just another man trying to stay healthy. Pasig Mayor Vico Soto. Magandang hapon, Mayor. How are you and how are you keeping yourself healthy?
Hi, Sir Howie. Kamusta po kayo? Thank you so much for having me here. First episode pala. Congratulations on this new show. Everyone's trying to innovate and come up with new things, especially quarantine tayo lahat. But to answer your question, we're just trying to stay healthy, eating properly, getting some rest as well. I think that's one important thing. It's easy to forget that we have to rest. Pero tao lang din tayo. Kailangan natin magpahinga or else magbe-breakdown ng mga katawan natin.
How does a person like you, you're 30 years old, no? How do you eat healthy? Ano bang kinakain mo?
Well, nagluluto naman dito sa office, so relatively healthy naman yung kinakain ko.
Okay.
Minsan di rin maiwasan ng mga junk food and unhealthy foods. Kasi hindi rin ako masyado nakakapag-exercise. I just don't have enough time. Although I try kahit once a week ganyan, pero mahirap eh. Pero sinusubukan ko as much as possible matulog ng sapat na oras. It's easier said than done, but sinusubukan ko.
So sabi mo may nagluluto sa office, no? So umuwi ka pa ba sa bahay?
Umuwi pa naman.
Okay.
Although minsan gabi na rin. Nakakapagpahinga naman ako. Hindi naman as if, hindi ko naman sasabihin na 24 hours ako nagtatrabaho. Imposible naman. 24 hours ako on call.
Yeah.
My phone is always on loud mode. Pag emergencies. And I set an alarm. Naging habit ko na, even before COVID, lalo na pag panahon ng bagyo. Nag-a-alarm ako sa gitna. Sa madaling araw, nag-a-alarm ako mga 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. just to see if everything's okay. Usually, wala naman. Tutulog ako ulit.
Mabuti ka pa, no? Madaling makatulog ulit. So sabi mo, umuwi ka. I just want to ask, about your domestic life. You still live with your mom or do you have your own place now? Or
Right now, I'm living with my mom again, just for practicality. So I'm there, but we don't see each other a whole lot. I say bye to her in the morning and I say hi to her in the evening and good night. Yeah, that's pretty much it right now.
But I'm sure she's making sure na kumakain ka ng maayos.
Lagi niya akong tinatanong when she gets the chance, pero ayoko na rin istorbohin siya masyado na maghahanda pa para sa akin. Wala kasi kaming kasambahay ngayon eh. So she's actually, that's how she keeps active also. Pero syempre, ayoko naman bigyan siya ng trabaho. So practically, or almost all of my meals, 3 meals a day, I eat here in the office.
Sa opisina?
Most of the time.
Napansin ko nga yung meron kang pinost na litrato nung linggo ng isa sa mga office mates mo na mukhang nakapambahay kahit nasa opisina, no? So okay yun.
Yun yung normal.
At home yung mga office mates.
Sir Howie, ang tawag namin doon, work from home from office.
Okay, so that is WFHFO. Okay, may name, no? Pero yung isang tatanong ko, bukod dun sa nakachinelas siya, naka-face shield, no? Ikaw naman nagsusuot ng goggles, nakikita namin, no? So, bisa nakikita kita, naka-gloves pa, no? Kailangan na ba mag-gloves ngayon sa panahon natin?
Sir Howie, depende po talaga. Una, depende kung saan ako pupunta. Minsan kasi, not for anything else, pero minsan kasi pag bumababa ako, hindi maiwasan, meron talagang lalapit. Kunyari biglang may kakamay sa akin, minsan biglaan eh. So hindi maiwasan talaga. So just for everyone's protection, for mine and everyone else's protection, I take extra measures. Kung alam kong medyo matao sa lugar or kunyari pupunta ako sa ospital namin, kailangan ko rin puntaan pa minsan-minsan eh.
Nabanggit mo, pumapasok ka pa rin sa ospital. We know that those are kind of centers of infection. Tulad namin mga journalists, hindi kami pumapasok sa ospital noon pa.
Tama yun.
How do you balance yung self-protection and doing your job as a public official? Di ka ba natatakot na magkakaroon?
Siguro natatakot din. Wala naman sigurong tao sa ngayon na hindi natatakot. Pero Ganun din naman yung frontliners natin. May mga frontliners tayo na mas exposed kaysa sa akin. Yung mga doktor natin, nurse especially, yung mga medtech and other health workers, sila yung pinaka-exposed sa lahat. So, kumbaga ngayon, kahit natatakot kaming lahat, it's not like we have a choice. So, harapin natin yung let's do this even if we're a little bit scared. Pero with that said, again, we take every safety precautionary measure possible. Again, pinaka-importante yung social distancing. So, paalala lang, minsan may dala akong nung huling lumabas ako, may dala akong megaphone para just in case biglang may lumapit. Oy, sandali lang. Social distancing po tayo. Naiintindihan naman ng mga tao. Minsan nakakalimutan lang.
Okay, nag-umpisa na kayong mag-test ng frontliners ng LGU ninyo, no? Yung ginagamit niyo yung rapid test sa antibodies. Maraming doktor nagsasabi ngayon na hindi raw helpful yung rapid test dahil wala pa raw reliable at hindi accurate. Maraming false positives, kaya maaring you'll end up needlessly isolating people na kailangan sa frontline. It's a waste of resources on confirmatory tests. Why did you decide to do it anyway? Kahit may mga ganong agam-agam dito sa rapid.
So ito pong rapid test, sinisimulan po natin lahat ng frontliners natin. And then yung protocol natin, very simple. Rapid test, kapag nag-reactive sa rapid test or sa antibody testing, may confirmatory PCR po tayo. Gusto ko lang po ilinaw na PCR pa rin. Kasi sinabi ng DOH, PCR yung gold standard, yun pa rin yung gold standard na ginagamit namin dito sa Pasig. Yun pa rin yung confirmatory. Ngayon, ang problema natin sa buong Pilipinas, limitado yung PCR testing capability natin. So hindi naman pwede na habang inaantay natin na tumaas yung kapasidad ng bansa, wala tayong gagawin. Ngayon, nakikita naman natin, inaaral ko rin personally, and we have our doctors studying the different kinds of testing. There are 4 main kinds of testing sa COVID. Hindi rin naman perfecto yung PCR eh. Ang sinasabi nga nila, up to 30% yung hindi nahuhuli ng PCR na positive or false negatives natin. So that's also alarming. So the more that we have, the more tools that we have, the better.
Isa pang malaking issue dyan is sinabi na ng gobyerno na kung gagawin yung expanded testing ng mga workers o yung testing ng mga workers bago sila pumasok, cargo daw yon ng mga private business. No? So maraming nagagalit na negosyante na bakit naging cargo namin itong pagtetest ng tao, no? So, ano yung sitwasyon dyan sa inyo?
Kami na dito, gustuhin man namin i-require yung mga negosyo, establishmento na i-test yung mga empleyado nila. Ang problema natin, supply. So, hindi naman tama na i-require natin sila, tapos, teka, saan kami kukuha? Yun yung next problem natin. So, we can't require businesses at this point. Although we have committed, pag may nag-positive doon sa reactive rather, doon sa mga rapid test na gagawin ng mga businesses, those that can source their rapid test kits, we will do the city of Pasig will do the PCR testing for them. Yun naman yung mas mahal eh.
Okay. So sasagutin niyo yung PCR ng mga
yung rapid naman, makakakuha ka naman, assuming na makakuha ka ng supply, you can get for less than 1,000 pesos. Meron nag-offer 600 pesos. So, isipin natin, parang isang araw lang yun na sweldo eh. So, anong mas gusto mo? Hindi ka mag-operate for ilan weeks or uncertain ka, delikado tayo, mataas yung risk natin. Or, i-test mo na lang, 1 day's worth of salary lang naman yun. I think that's worth it. Kung ako businessman, gagawin ko yun. Pero yung PCR testing for confirmatory, the city of Pasig, within our jurisdiction, we can help out. Sapat naman yung capacity namin. With the help of Medical City, we partner with Medical City.
Okay, isa pang malaking challenge para sa mga local officials, yung transportation, no? Transportation ng mga frontliners at essential workers. Alam natin, naging kontrobersyal yung iyong tricycle transport solution noong Marso. Para sa frontliners, tinigil yon dahil nga pinagbawal nga yung public transport.
Gumawa kami ng mga programa katulad ng libre sakay, yan para sa mga frontliners natin primarily, and essential travel. Tapos nagkaroon din kami ng libreng hatid. Ito naman yung mga dialysis patients. But again, kulang po talaga. Ngayon, modified ECQ, sumagot naman yung DILG sa amin, pinayagan na kami for single passenger tricycle. So, malaking tulong.
Do you feel vindicated na ni-recognize yung original solution mo na payagan yung mga tricycle mag-transport ng Potential one?
I guess so in a way, pero may dahilan din naman sila. So hindi ko naman sinasabi na hindi ako lang yung tama dito. Hindi naman. Siguro yung particular thing that they were trying to impose or to implement na yung stricter ECQ, baka nakita nila sa ibang lugar ang hirap i-enforce nung ganung klaseng tricycle. So nakikita nila yung big picture. So I'm not going to say na hindi, tama ako, mali ka. Hindi.
Okay.
Maaaring may nakita lang sila na hindi ko nakita.
May nagsasabi nga a crisis is a terrible thing to waste, no? I mean, it's an opportunity to kind of remake and reimagine systems or even society. After the last several weeks of experiencing this, may nakita ka bang potential for kind of a major change sa ating lipunan?
Yung pinakamalaking nakikita namin yung sa transportasyon. Ang dami natin kailangan baguhin sa transport system natin. And this is a good opportunity na-highlight kung ano yung kailangan I mean, nung nag-MECQ, first day, anong nakita natin? Biglang ang haba ng pila sa daan. Pero kung tingnan yung maigi, tingnan natin ng maigi, ano yung nagpapahaba, ano yung nagpapatraffic? Private cars talaga So, I know this is not something that we can change overnight, but improving our public transport system is really the only solution to our transport problem.
Yung pinakamalakas na, gusto nyo ba iba naman? Kahit isang piso mula sa iligal na pera, kahit isang piso mula sa kickback o yung tinatawag nilang SOP, walang mapupunta sa bulsa ko.
Nang maluklok sa pwesto si Mayor Vico Soto noong Hunyo taong 2019,
Ako si Victor Ma Regis N. Soto na nahalal sa katungkulan bilang alkalde ng lungsod ng Pasig. Kapit-bisig tayo tungo sa isang Pasig na walang palakasan, walang pananakot. Iba naman, iba na, Pasigenyo naman.
winakasan niya ang 27 taong pamumuno na angkan ng mga Eusebio sa Pasig. May mga nagsabing walang tsansa ang isang baguhang talunin ng isang dinastiya.
Hindi ba po yung dapat yung binutali as a junior elected mayor?
Hindi lang tinalo ni Soto, kundi malaki ang lamang niya sa kalaban sa halala.
As a young politician who refused to do things 100% the traditional politician or trap away, marami talaga nagsabi sa akin, "Naku Vico, hindi gagana yan. Gusto mong bumangga sa pader. May dala kang hagdan."
Inendorso ka ni Pangulong Duterte sa candidacy mo. No? Do you feel you owe him? Mananalo ka kaya kung wala yung endorsement na yun?
It's a very hard question to answer. Kung mananalo ako, kung wala yung endorsement, probably yes. Kasi naka-set up na yung namin nun Kumbaga, we were good to go. Pero syempre, malaking tulong pa rin yun. Hindi ko sinasabing hindi. Don't get me wrong. Please don't take me out of context. But utang na loob, wala. Kasi wala naman usapan yun there was no condition to that. Punta kami sa Malacanang. Of course, if you're kung isang government official ka, pinatawag ka ng presidente, pupunta ka talaga. And I respect the office, I respect the president. And I'm very thankful for the endorsement.
So, pinatawag ka sa Malacanang, hindi ka nagpresenta doon.
Maybe some people were trying to, si Congressman Roman kasi yung una talagang pinatawag. His sister is the secretary of the president. So, ganun. But again, we're very thankful.
Today, do you consider yourself a political ally of President Duterte?
I've always looked at myself as more of an independent. Pag mayor kasi, it's not like the job of a congressman or a senator na mas polarizing. Pag mayor, ang problema namin, yung day-to-day na trabaho So, whether ally ka or opposition, it should be irrelevant. Yung sinasabi nga, mayors, we have to do the job. Wala akong pakialam sa politika nila na national Whether DDS, Dilawan, I don't pay any attention to that because I have work to do. Hindi ako pwedeng mamuliti ka dito. Wala naman akong interest sa national politics. So as long as I'm getting the job done here, I ask the help from the national government as I need it or as we need it. And the national government does help us. it is also their mandate to help the local governments, and it's in all of our mandates to help each other as government officials and government offices, whether national, local, city, barangay government. Kailangan nagtutulungan ang lahat.
In-endorse ka ng Pangulo, but at the same time, may mga position ka na it's not the same, no, as the administrations or the presidents, no. You didn't support the Marcos's heroes burial. You've been occasionally critical of the drug war.
I have to downplay that a little bit, kasi siguro yung mga iba, especially his political opponents, would tend to highlight those little things, no, baka hindi 100% aligned or whatever. Pero ako naman, para sa akin, wag din nila ako gamitin. Whether kakampi ka or kalaban ka ng presidente, wag niyo ako gamitin sa politika. Politika niyo. Kasi ako dito, nagtatrabaho lang ako sa Pasig. And we've been working so hard here in our LGU. And this is where our focus is. Again, I really don't care much for their national politics at this point because I have there's a lot on my plate already. Hindi na para makisawsaw ako sa national politics.
Okay, well, speaking of yung local agenda mo, no, among your campaign promises, of course, yung cracking down on corruption. At sa mga nakaraang interview, sinasabi mo nga, a big part of corruption, we all know, nasa infrastructure, no? So, gaano kalakas ba yung naging opposition mo sa pagbawas ng infrastructure budget? Meron ka bang nakabangga dyan?
Well, maraming galit sa akin. Ganun talaga. I entered this, I knew what my mission was. I knew what the team's mission was, to do our best to eradicate, minimize corruption as much as we can in 3 years, which is a short time to fix things. We've made a lot of reforms in how procurement is done. Yung pagbili ng gamit, yung pagbidding ng mga infrastructure programs. It is worlds apart already ngayon sa Pasig, less than a year after I assumed office. Yun yung may pagmamalaki ko talaga, na nilinis namin yung sistema. It's not perfect. Alam kong may nakakalusot pa rin. Baka nanonood sila ngayon. Alam ko yung mga nangyayari dyan. Pero kung ikumpara natin to just 1 year ago, I can say with utmost confidence na it's worlds apart from how it used to be, and it's much cleaner now. First of all, yung bidding, totoong bidding. Kung sino yung lowest bidder sa tamang kalidad, yun yung pinapanalo. Hindi ako nakikipag-negotiate sa mga contractor na basta akin na yung gantong percentage o basta kay ganito mapupunta. Hindi ako nakikipag-usap ng ganun.
Maibala ng konti, on Twitter, I solicited questions to ask you. A number of netizens were curious about your relationship with your famous uncle, no, si Senator Tito Soto. How's your relationship with him? Nag-uusap ba kayo? Humingi ka ba ng advice? O nagbibigay ba siya ng advice sa'yo? What's it like?
We have a good relationship. I respect him a lot. He's someone who has a lot of experience. We don't talk that much. That's just the truth. Busy rin siya. Marami rin akong ginagawa. So we don't really have that much of an opportunity to talk. But when we do talk, I do learn a lot of things from him. He gives me some advice. Sometimes I ask, sometimes unsolicited, but I appreciate it very much.
As far as I know, may at least 5 Soto sa politika, no? You've come out against political dynasties, no? How do you reconcile that position with your family's long-time involvement in politics? Hindi ka ba miyembro rin ng isang political dynasty?
I guess you could look at it in that way. Although, para sa akin, hindi naman pamilya ko yung pinalitan ko dito. We started a movement from the ground up here in Pasig. But regardless, that's a fair point. I don't deny that I have relatives, I have cousins and an uncle who are also in politics. Pero we have to look at first, let's look at the numbers. Nakikita natin yung datos, ang sabi na nakikita natin sa mga studies, mga pag-aaral, kapag may political dynasty sa isang LGU, mas mabagal yung growth and development sa LGU na yun. That's empirical evidence. Whether I like it or not, yun yung katotohanan. Ngayon, what are we going to do about it? Should families self-inhibit? Just sabihin ko, teka, may tito ako na senador, siguro dapat di ako tumakbo. Ganun ba dapat? Ang mangyayari nun, yung mga mabubuti yung intensyon, mawawala sa politika, ang may iwan yung mga political dynasty na corrupt. So what really needs to be done is for Congress to pass a law na malinaw yung enabling law for the constitutional provision against political dynasties. Yun lang talaga yung solusyon doon. It has to be a level playing field that the rules apply to all families. Yun lang talaga yung solution doon. But I'm in favor of an anti-political dynasty law. Kahit to the second degree or anong strictest na papasa sa Kongreso, I would support that.
Malapit na tayo magtapos, Mayor. Meron lang akong parting thought. Madalas kasi inaakala na malaking disadvantage ng youth o mga batang politiko ang lack of experience. Pero natuklasan na natin na may advantages din ng youth. May bagong ideas, yung kanilang idealism at yung kanilang sangkatutak na energy. Nakita na natin ito sa krisis natin na ngayon. Mahaba pa tong pandemic. We wish you luck, Mayor Vico Soto, for our sake and for the sake of your kababayan. I'm signing off. Thank you, Vico, and thank you to our viewers and listeners for joining the inaugural episode of Quarantined with Howie Severino. Ingat kayo lagi.
Sir Howie, maraming salamat. Ingat po kayo.
Maraming salamat.